You know, whenever I see something, I'm going to show it on video if I think it's something important that you might want to learn or check out, especially when you're getting ready to repaint and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's why I bring my video camera, because I never know what I'm going to show next. Okay, I think I showed you there were some nails, puckered nails, that were sticking out up there. You can kind of see the white that I did up there. And on the nails, don't just hit it flush with your hammer. Hit it flush with your hammer, then take a nail set and poke the nail down just a little bit, because if you just make it flush and caulk over it, chances are the nail's going to come back. Or if you see a little pucker and you hit the sheetrock and it's flush and you think, oh, I don't have to do any caulking at all over that, I'm just going to leave it. Well, chances are that nail's going to reappear its ugly self after you get done painting. Okay, so I just now put a second coat over those and to let it dry, because I did the first coat the other day because it puckers, you know, caulking, and I saw a hairline crack from up there on down to there, and so I caulked that, and this little segment was actually going to be about the coaxial cables for the TVs. Now see, there's one here, there's a couple there, there's even one sticking out of the wall. And we're going to have our bed over here. We made the determination, let's have the bed over here, let's have the TV up against that wall. And that's what they had before, because this is where the TV wall mount was. We're going to put ours on a dresser probably, and then they probably came out of that with an extra coaxial cable, zipped it along down at the carpet, and then came up to the TV. Okay, so I'm looking at this, I'm taking cover plates off and stuff, and I'm like, what do I do about this one? This probably doesn't even work. We called up the cable company to see if in our area, if the cable company would come out and do a precursor or a little pre-inspection type walkthrough before we actually have them come out here and do the cable. And they said, nope, we won't do that. So now my dilemma is, do I shove this in the wall? I was thinking about shoving it in the wall, but this one looks pretty new. I could just shove it in the wall and say bye-bye and caulk it, because I'm getting ready to paint. I was like, I don't want to leave this out of the wall if I don't need it. When the guys come, if he says, oh yeah, that one's dead, we don't need that, then I can shove it into the wall, or I can put a blank plate there, or a coaxial cable cover there, or even a blank plate. I could push this into the wall, put some tape around that or something, and then put a blank plate there. I really don't want a blank plate on the wall there. Do you see any blank plates on the wall up at sheetrock? Light switch height on the walls? No. Do I really want to see that? And so worst case scenario, after I get done painting, after the cable TV company comes out, then I can make a determination. Worst case scenario, you know, I paint this now, I leave this out, because I'm going to leave it out, and I'll explain that just in a quick minute. If they didn't need this, okay, I'd have to push it in there, and then I'll have to carefully caulk that, you know, over a 2 or 3 day process, because it's going to dimple in, and do these and do a little boop 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 at the end and flatten it down, and then I'll have to repaint this area. Okay, and I was just getting ready to shove it in the wall and say screw it, but I thought, hey, wait a minute, that's an exterior wall, and I'm looking and see over there against the wall. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's two cables coming out of the wall there. See right there? Those are coaxial cables, and that's probably how they came in to power up this entire condo. I'm not sure, but you know, I'll bet you they're going to need that one. And then from there, they probably took another feed and came over, and they might have hooked up to this to make these live, or they hooked something on there, ran it down the wall, and then over to the TV. You know, they could have done a different types of things. If I don't want that shoved out of the wall, and see, I don't know if they have a long enough piece. Now here's what I well, I don't know if I could do it or not. If there's enough wire, and see, there's not. It only goes to there. Dabbity nabbit. Because I was thinking, if I didn't want this stuck out, and if they said this is the only power for the TVs to come in here, then maybe they hook up to something here, and then it powers up the ones downstairs. I have no idea. See, I mean, there's a whole lot of things, because if so, I could maybe have them connect this and then somehow cut this slot a little bit taller, let's say, and slip this back up, and then put the end of this, you know, have them cut a 4 or 5 foot thing, and then fish it down into this box and have it down there, so I don't have a cable coming out of the wall. So, you know, think about stuff like that when you're getting ready. Don't just shove your coaxial cables in the wall. Had I have shoved this into the wall, what would have been the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario would be I'd have to find out where the caulking was there, and I'd be able to find it after I got done painting. Then I'd have to cut that out. He'd have to shove a little wire in there and try to hook this, and then try to fish it back out of that hole. That would be very difficult, wouldn't it? Or else I'd have to cut a ring, a cut-in ring. It's just the trim, and then you cut that out, especially if they say, okay, we got to leave this here, let's say. Then I could cut that out and then put that on there, and then they'd be able to have enough room to fish that out. As it was, this was on a coaxial plate, and it was just sitting there on the wall, you know, where the cover plate was. I took the cover plate off, okay, and here we go. So, I mean, worst case scenario, I screw the cover plate back on there and we have a coaxial cable like that. Or if they're not using it later on, I push it down into the wall and I caulk that and repaint it. Okay? So I'm still caulking and stuff. I still got some more to do up there. I've got a whole day here all by myself. I was planning on doing this yesterday, but there was something else that I had to work on yesterday. I put my electrician hat on. And if you want to watch that, I guess I can make a video of that now. I'll make this the next episode, why I had to be an electrician yesterday, and it had to do with the plumbers. Oh yeah. Well, what's this episode about anyway? Well, if you saw the title, it's installing, it has to do with a tankless water heater, and there it is. The plumbers did a really good job installing it yesterday. Oh, ooh. And I just wanted to kind of show you this and tell you why I had to put my electrician's hat on yesterday, because the plumbers don't know much about electrical work. Let me tell you, and of course that wasn't included in his cost. Well, see, this unit, remember the water heater? If you watched one of the previous episodes, we had a 40-gallon water heater here. A gas water heater was hooked up to the gas right here, and that water heater was really small, and the dielectric unions were all rusty, and there was a top little canister thing that needed to be replaced. And we thought, well, instead of doing that, and the plumber said, hey, because you have a jacuzzi bathtub in one of your bathrooms, the 40-gallon water heater was not going to be big enough anyways. And so I said, well, what about putting a 60-gallon water heater in there? Even that would have kind of been questionable for a jacuzzi tub, washing machine, dishwasher, 2 bathrooms, 2 showers, and all that kind of stuff. And plus, he said this opening would have to be bigger because I only have a clearance of 19 inches as it was. He was barely able to fit the 40-gallon water heater out of here after he dumped all the water out. He said, man, that was tricky. So see, he wouldn't have been able to get a bigger one up. And so another reason why we decided to put the tankless water system in, and that's what it looks like. Now there's all different kinds of water systems, tankless water systems. There's some that are smaller than this. I don't know why he chose this one. All I can think of, because when Momi saw it, she said, oh man, that's a big one, because she used to have one at a different house that was way smaller. But you know, I think they had, I think she had a smaller condo and it didn't have a jacuzzi tub, and it probably had one shower in it, one bathroom and one half bath or something. This has 2 bathrooms and a half bath. So look around if you're thinking about getting a tankless water system. This is kind of what it looks like. And this was a gas one, and they hooked it up with the gas. Here's the yellow line for the gas, and he was able to utilize everything that was here, because this was the water, the main well, one of these was a water line. Oh, that's a pressure relief valve. See, it goes off of there, and that's for that. And that was up there because of the water heater from before. See, and here's the main water line coming in, one going out. They used to have plastic stuff nowadays. See that? That was inside the condo. Whoever plumbed this condo 15 years ago, that was something fairly new. And I think all water lines nowadays, they don't run copper lines anymore. They run the plastic stuff. But anywho, the guy said, oh, hey, one thing, we need to plug this in. And see, here's this cord. It only takes 2 amps. Whatever electrical is needed in here, even though it's gas, whatever electrical is needed in that, they needed to plug it into someplace. The only plug up here is way over here. Look at this. That's for the heating and the heating system, and the condensate pump right here is for this heating system. We can talk, well, I can talk about that on another video. Okay, well, I'm not going to really discuss that in detail, but anyways, he needed some electrical over here. So I'm like, oh brother, where am I going to get power? And at first I was looking at the lights, and at first he said, oh, maybe I can just plug into this. Maybe you can just plug into that. And here's the thing. When you have this cord that's on a tankless water system, you cannot, technically by code, and we made sure that he got a permit on this project, and he's going to have to call the inspector and meet him out here next week, and the inspector's going to come make sure this is all up to snuff and all that kind of stuff. You cannot plug this into an extension cord and then run it over willy-nilly to anything. And see, even if that was close enough, which it's not because this is way down here, even if it was close enough, you can't really plug it into a light like that, because see, when I turn this light switch off, the light goes off. Now, the plumber was saying, well, when the light's on, here, we'll just leave the light switch on and we'll do the pull chain. We'll leave that off. Now there's power to this, right? Well, that's if that cord would have fit, let's say. Well, it doesn't. And no, I don't think the inspector would allow that, because that's on this light switch. Because if somebody comes up here and they turn that light switch off, then guess what? The power goes off to that. Okay? And so we couldn't hook it up to that. And then later I thought, well, now see over here, see this? It says future light. They did somebody a good favor here. You really only need one light in a little attic like this. But they ran this, and this is connected to that. Okay? And I thought, okay, you know, that cord might possibly be long enough to zip up this way and come over here. So I pulled this down, and I thought, you know, usually when I run power for a light switch, I'll run the main power coming into that light switch first, and then I run another Romex cable from there up to the light, okay? And that's how I do it. It's way easier to figure everything out. Well, some electricians, depending on how they were taught, or depending where the main power is coming from, they might be working up in the attic or something, and they might say, oh, I'm going to run the power to the light, one of the lights. Then, so the main power always is up here, and then they run the black and white Romex cable, has a black and white wire, and then they use the white wire as a black wire as a feeder to go back and forth, okay? If you don't know much about electrical, I might be confusing you, but anywho, I thought, okay, they've either got power up in one of these boxes, the main power, and then that goes down to the light switch, or the main power goes from the light switch on up to here. And I figured it all out, turned the power off, disconnected the wires up there, took my wire tester, turned the breaker back on, had that switch off. There were no hot wires here. Turned the light switch on, and then one pair of wires up here were on. So I knew the power was coming from the light switch on up to here. So even if this cord, this pigtail on this water system was long enough, I was not going to take the chance to come out of this box and come down and then have the inspector shut it down and say, nope, can't do that. So I thought, what else could I do?